It's Ron Reader Digs the Universe. I'm Ron Reader, and this is Ron Reader Digs the Universe, and tonight, Afghanistan. Like many Americans, I spent most of my free time in the week after 9/11 glued to my couch watching cable news run the attacks over and over again. I was in a sort of cognitive shock. I think most Americans were suffering a cognitive shock. So when the Bush administration announced plans to invade Afghanistan, I didn't like it, but I thought we had no choice. A couple of days later, a student I had taught the year before popped into my classroom to ask me what I thought about the war. I said I supported it. He was a young, principled anarchist, and he knew exactly what was at stake. And immediately I felt some shame expressing my support for the war because I knew he wouldn't like it. And deep down, I think I knew he was right. He didn't like it, and he stormed off in an angry huff. I just disillusioned the fuck out of that kid, I said to myself, and I went back to rethink the entire thing. I had been reading Noam Chomsky and Howard Zinn recently, and this was the first real test of whether I actually agreed with them or not. My far-left reading had taught me that wars almost never work out as initially envisioned, that wars kill mostly innocent people who are just trying to live their lives like everyone else, that wars are about what rich and powerful men want, never about what's best for the people. Wars are always dirty, corrupt, murderous, lying affairs. I didn't know in 2001 what direction the invasion of Afghanistan was going, but I was certain it would be going in the wrong direction. And a first glance view of the psychology of terrorism made totally plain that killing Muslims would do nothing but make children want to grow up to be terrorists. And so I became anti-war. I owe my former student a great deal. He forced me to pay attention to my own values, to take a wildly unpopular stance because it was the right thing to do. I learned a lot from him in that moment, and man, he was so right about the war. Very quickly, we all started to see the same kind of lies, mismanagement, corruption, and incompetence that we saw with Vietnam. But back here, Americans were waving the flag obsessively, and it was very clear that for most Americans, it was a war of bloody vengeance, with the stars and stripes now meaning kill Muslims. So who cares how poorly the war was being run as long as we're killing Muslims? It's awesome! So it was a war of vengeance, and it was a war of the U.S. establishment. Remember MSNBC firing Phil Donahue because he was anti-war? Remember how all of Congress voted for the invasion with only one exception? Remember support the troops, which actually meant support the war being rammed up everybody's ass 24/7? All our major institutions merrily went to war, especially big oil, especially the military-industrial complex, extra especially the news media. Democrat, Republican, it didn't matter. It was a wretched sight, watching Democrats argue with each other about how to best fight terrorism, to see John Kerry's awkward, nausea-inducing, military-themed acceptance speech at the 2004 Democratic National Convention. I'll tell you the best way to fight terrorism. Get the fuck out of the Middle East. But of course, then, as now, such a thing is unthinkable. So the war went on, out of sight, out of mind mostly. We killed bin Laden. in Pakistan, of all places, and the war went on. About what exactly was anybody's guess at that point. President Obama sending drones to blow up wedding parties didn't turn it around. His 2009 surge didn't turn it around. Neither could Trump, because he's an incompetent idiot. Victory was always over the horizon, but we never quite got there. From the beginning, occupying Afghanistan was a horrible, self-defeating idea for every minute of every day. For 20 years, nothing but a bloody fool's errand. But now, it's finally over. I do have one small criticism for how this is happening. Biden is apparently using Trump's withdrawal plan, along with Trump's typically shitty fake diplomacy. But Trump is a failure at everything he does except bullying. Biden should have drawn up a totally new plan. Seems like a no-brainer on that one. That was a big fail. But this failure doesn't even come close to destroying the awesome success that is the exit from Afghanistan. Regardless of planning, departure was always going to be a clusterfuck, and the Taliban was fated to return to power eventually the day we invaded. As longtime viewers of Ron Reader Digs the Universe know, I'm not much of a Biden fan, but we would be crazy if we didn't give him full credit for getting us out. It's over. The war is over. And that can be nothing but good. I'm Ron Reader, and this has been Ron Reader Digs the Universe. Join me, Ron Reader, again next week for another episode of Ron Reader Digs the Universe.